Say a Greeley man has been arrested in connection with the shooting that had happened in Costilla County. So this is the guy. It's Fox 21 News. It's not popping up, but that's the guy, Rondell Brown. 25-year-old Rondell Brown has been arrested. He's being accused of second-degree murder and 3 counts of felony menacing. Second-degree murder is interesting. They're saying that he didn't deliberate. He didn't plan and deliberate the shooting to have happened, but that he knowingly had shot a person, and therefore, so he's being charged with second-degree murder, 3 counts of felony menacing, which is he intended to make somebody afraid, not just of a deadly weapon. They've defined deadly weapon as a firearm, a knife, or a bludgeon. So 3 counts of trying to scare somebody with a knife, bludgeon, or gun. Second-degree murder. He's on $150,000 bond in Weld County. And he was arrested on Friday. Today's Sunday, August 21st. So 2 days ago, August 19th. And it was CBI. It was CBI that went ahead and got Rondell Brown. Rondell Brown, like, what the hell, man? What the hell? Clearly he hasn't been reading the laws, because in America you can remonstrate, you have the right to speak up, you have a right to petition. He could have sued for grievances. He had a lot of other options besides going with evil, just going straight for evil. Now I'm going to try to figure out, why do people do the things that they do? Why are people evil? I want to try to figure out. Jordan Peterson says that a lot of times people are traumatized by wickedness because you're just shocked by the person, thinking, you didn't think the person would do something like that. And so you're shocked by it because you don't have a philosophy of evil. You don't have a reason why people would be evil. Frankly, to be good is logical. If you've chosen evil, I think you've chosen something absurd. But there are some reasons for why people would choose evil. And so, let's make sure I got all the facts here. Jesus Lozano, 51-year-old Jesus Lozano was shot at his home. It says shot at a home. 9news.com, in a rural area near the 900 block of Wilking Way in Costilla County on Saturday, August 13th. He later died at a hospital in Alamosa. Now that's interesting. So he wasn't just shot and killed in his home. He was shot in his home, but they're going to say he died of his injuries in Alamosa. So he wasn't dead at the time. Hell, they might have been able to talk to the guy, and he might have actually been able to say what, had happened, who it was, what had happened, and, have it all documented. And if that's the case, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Because before I get to a philosophy of evil, and we can compare and contrast, let's just take a look at all the different homicides that have happened in the SLV in just the last 5 to 6 years. In Romeo, June 2016, Michael Robinson, 35-year-old Michael Robinson, had killed his grandfather at the old Romeo's Little Market in Conejos County. Hid his body in the freezer for over a week. January 16, 2017, on County Road Y in Capelin, you had Santos Navarez Ramirez, 25-year-old Santos Navarez Ramirez, shot and killed Guadalupe Cervantes, Jose Archuleta, and Marissa Herrero at Lupe's party. It's Lupe and Joey. And then Kinky Don L. Martinez was shot and injured, but he survived. Santos had waived his preliminary hearing. Santos Navarez Ramirez had waived his preliminary hearing, pled guilty, and received life in prison. So 3 people were killed in Conejos County, 2017, January, and then May 2017. Oh, that's some other crimes. But it's not just murder, but there's lots of crimes that have been happening. So you have, let's see here, some other shootings that have happened. Felix Gallegos had shot and killed Byron Garcia Duran, 26, for robbing his hamburger stand in Antonito, Conejos County, next to the library at 20 at 210 Main Street. This happened September 1st, 2018. So this is protection of property, right? So sometimes it could be justified. You're not allowed to murder people in cold blood. You can't go around just hurting people. But I wonder, sadism. Some people take pleasure in other people's pain. And so if you go back to the 2017, why did Santos, why did 25-year-old Santos kill 3 different people? Was it jealousy? Was it jealousy? Was it insecurity? Was it insecurity? Was it jealousy? Was it sadism? So you had that happen, right? Byron Duran got shot and killed by Felix Gallegos.
I'm investigative reporter Jeremy Hohola. Every day, the journalists at 9 News, and in the investigation...
All right, that's pop-up there, 9 News. Watch it. Okay, so you also have William Trujillo and Ryan Lopez are charged with murdering Roy Cisneros in Virginia Archuleta. Let's focus on this one, because this happened 2019, so this happened just, a little bit more than 3 years ago, July 15th, 2019, 5:31 p.m., so in the afternoon. The reason why I want to focus on this, because I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. In the 8,000 block Highway 15 in Kaplan, you had 2 people are going to get charged with murdering, Roy in Virginia, but why? And for what reason? And we don't know anything. Who, what, why, when, where, and how. So whereas, now we got the who, but the why, the where, the how. I mean, even in Clue, you have to say, Professor Plum with a candlestick in the library. So with what kind of weapon? He was shot and killed. So with a handgun, with an AR, and what's the evidence that they got against him? I mean, they had the guy's just sitting at his house, right? He's got $150,000 bond, and he's got 4 major charges he's going to have to fight, and he's guaranteed a preliminary hearing. So, just have some perspective. So there's been a lot of other crimes that have happened, and we don't know. The reason why I want to focus on the William Trujillo and Ryan Lopez, did they kill Roy Cisneros in Virginia Archuleta? They were accused of it. But why? When? Where? What? How? Nothing. Basically, we're left to the imagination. Roy Cisneros, 45-year-old Roy, and 27-year-old Virginia would probably very much like to be alive and walking around amongst us, and yet we don't even know what the hell happened. So if you're living in Conejos County, and then also, I heard a statistic about 80% of the people in Conejos County know each other, then that would mean if something goes down, it's most likely one of you all. So that's 4 out of 5 people. And, there's some people that's from outside of town. There is the state police had killed a man and a woman. One with a shotgun. They stole vehicles up in Saguache County, and they were driving all over the place. So there's some, people that's from the outside, but there's also criminals within the inside. Somebody murdered my dog. Somebody murdered my puppy. And still today, August 2022, over 2 years later, nobody has told me who killed my dog. Pretty fucked up, wouldn't you say? Okay, so let's talk about some other shootings, right? So you had those 2 shootings in Kaplan, and Kaplan's a tiny little town. It's a tiny little town, and you had one person, right, that Santos killed 3 people, and then you had these 2 people who killed 2 other people. If anything, Santos, we kind of know what happened. Apparently, he got spurned. His advances were spurned, and there was a birthday party, and he went to the birthday party and, says, if I can't have her, then nobody can have her. So understanding evil isn't accepting of evil. Why would people be evil? I got a little list here. I mean, think about the 7 deadly sins. Why would people just engorge? It's fun. Sadistic, sadism, evil can't empathize. Empathy's too hard. It's too hard to empathize with others. just easier to think only of yourself. Sadism, the miserable. If you're miserable on the inside, you want to make other people miserable, but heck, maybe it makes you happy. Misery loves company. Some people want to get out their aggression on those they purport to love. To exploit you, unfortunately, coercion works. So for wealth, for power and wealth, people will treat you like crap for power and wealth, to take your resources, to take your money, take your water, food, clothing, house, wife, etc., car, land, property. To get other people to do their labor for them. I mean, why do the labor yourself when you could just get other people to do it for you? To build a cult around you. To get a little tinge of power. Having a tiny bit of power, even if it's by evil, is better than no power at all. Perhaps, I don't know. If y'all don't know how to persuade others, then perhaps all you know how to do is bully and talk, and treat other. Maybe the life has been beaten out of the person. Maybe Rondell Brown, maybe the life had been beaten out of him and he's dead on the inside and he just wants others to be as miserable and dead on the inside too. It's too hard to think. It's too hard to be a human. It's easier to just turn oneself into a beast. You're not a rational animal. You're just an animal. Therefore, it takes away the pain of being a man. Love, patience, it takes too long. And it's, my God, a bad person could just go around attacking whoever and doing whatever, but a good person has to be kind and decent and mannerly. And then when time, push comes to shove, then stand up. But that's a lot harder. That's a lot harder. Wouldn't it be better just to... Fear is a better controlling device than love. People are awful. They need to pacify others' mind, body, and spirit so that way other people don't become fully human. Other people don't become actualized. Other people don't succeed and do well. To keep them subdued. It's too hard to stand up to evil people. My God, this Rondell Brown, 25-year-old Rondell Brown, he's an acquaintance of the Lozano family, the Jesus Lozano family. He's an acquaintance. So that's it. So what entitlement, what did he think that he thinks it's okay to go around shooting people? So God, if he acted crazy at some, moment in time and you came across him, maybe he thinks evil is fun. Maybe he's scared. Maybe it's for the power. Maybe it's for the wealth. It's too hard to communicate. It's too hard to use words. Why are people evil? These are just reasons. To understand why they're evil isn't to accept it. It's very much to reject it. Don't be traumatized. Don't be shocked. Don't be surprised when people act like this. They don't know how to behave. So they don't know how to talk to people. They don't know how to convince people, how to persuade people. So they just go around being a terrible, terroristic bully, instead of confronting, and hell, it might even look strong, right? Evil people going around doing drive-by, stop and go, spotlighting, killing people's puppies. That might look strong to some sick, sadistic criminal people. But I'm opposed to evil. I'm opposed to... Let's carry on with some of the other murders that have happened around here. Randy... No, that's something else. Okay, so Karina Arroyo. You had several shooters, right? You had the guy who kills his grandfather and puts him into the freezer in Romeo. And then in Kaplan, you had one guy shoot 3 people and kill 3 people. And then in Kaplan, you had 2 people shoot and kill 2 people. So that's 6 people right there. That's 6 people that, was killed before 2020. Now, August 28th, 2020, Karina Arroyo is going to be reported missing. She had said, it's time I move on. This valley would end up killing me. Karina Arroyo had decided to move on, go somewhere else. But Andre Burroughs didn't want that to happen. Andre Burroughs is going to be accused of killing 5 people. Xavier Zevin Garcia, Myron Robert Martinez, Karina Arroyo, Shayla Hamill, 20-year-old Shayla Hamill of Alamosa, Selena Esquivel, 20-year-old Selena Esquivel of Alamosa. Xavier of Saguache, Myron of Del Norte, Karina of Monte Vista. So Karina was from here. Andre Barros was from here. Why did he kill those people? There was a mechanic in Antonito that when this news had broke, he said he knew Andre Barros, and he said that the murders were justified. Justified? Not only do I not believe that, but now I'm questioning that person's morality. You heard about one of the people that you knew going around killing people, and you're like, I'm sure it was justified. It's so easy to rationalize things after the fact. I wonder about this case here. I wonder about the other case. Now we have something to compare and contrast. They should treat, Rondell Brown just like they're treating the Delato guy, and compare and contrast. Essentially, we're going to have a trial. They're going to present evidence. One side's going to present theirs. The other one's going to present theirs. And a jury of 12 of Costilla County citizens are going to decide upon these people's guilt. Is Rondell Brown guilty? Is David Delato guilty? And then there's, other people. I don't know if there's... So there's Donald Garcia was located in a camper that had previously been abandoned in Saguache County. This is December 2020, right after Andre Barros. Garcia had been suspected, alleged to have killed Robert Turner Jr. in the same town over the weekend. Was that Salida? So that was in Salida. That happened December 2020. I didn't even hear about that one. And actually, I got that one confused with a different one. There was another one that happened a long time ago. And it's good to talk about the cases that happened from a long time ago because you're not attached to it. You're not biased. In 2009, 13 years ago, here in the San Luis Valley in the 12th Judicial District, where both the killings where Rondell Brown had killed and David Delato had killed and several others, Mike Rust is going to get beaten and shot in the head and killed by Charles Gonzalez. And that happened in Saguache County. And then he's sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. He had went ahead and just said what happened. He just went ahead and told the judge, and Charles Gonzalez just told, everybody what had happened. So what had happened? I mean, I got just the basic, 2009. Mike Rust is going to get beaten up and shot in the head. It looked like his head was beaten with something, and then someone shot it in the head. So Mike Rust, he was like a big mountaineer or something. Why are these things happening? Is there something in the water, or people just prone? I think to some degree you do have to, allow that shit just going to happen. But it seems like a lot of shit is happening. It's hard as heck to get charges on somebody. For Rondell Brown, I bet you, let's assume the worst. You hope for the best, assume the worst, whatever. When it comes to capital punishment, if he had murdered in cold blood, justice would be an eye for an eye. But I don't think that he'll get that kind of justice in Colorado. It's kind of de facto. The capital punishment is de facto ruled out, but they still have to, there's still capital punishment around here. 25-year-old Rondell Brown, if he's shot and killed in cold blood, then justice would be an eye for an eye. And capital punishment would be justice. Now, it hasn't been, ruled out. It's just that you had that one crazy person shot all those people up in the Batman Theater in Aurora. He didn't get the death penalty, and so they said that if somebody like him wouldn't get the death penalty, then perhaps the death penalty in Colorado is dead and gone, but it's not. The death penalty is still there. It's just, hard to get. My point being is it's hard to get. If you're a prosecutor, if you went to law school and you got, your law degree and you have this Rondell Brown before you, in order to get capital punishment, it's going to take years of litigation. Let's just say. Lots of money, time, effort, years of litigation. And yet, here in the San Luis Valley, we've had, I would say, about a dozen about a dozen capital executions. About a dozen. Let's carry on with some more, because there are some other ones that I had forgotten about too. I don't even know that man and woman's name. They're in Weld County. They had stolen a car. One had a shotgun, and they were pointed at the thing. And I think that the police shot and killed both of them. I don't even know their names. So, is there something else we could have done to have stopped their, rampage? And what were they going around stealing cars for? So they arrest Andre Psycho Barreau several months after Karina had went missing. Donald Garcia suspected in killing Robert Turner Jr. And I heard Donald Garcia might have been a drifter too. So they might have just been putting it on him. Some guy in Salida got killed and they said, oh, it was that hitchhiker. I don't know. That's when they don't tell me. In order for me to understand, I think I'm a pretty intelligent person. So just give me the story, minute by minute, second by second, week by week, month by month. How did we get to this point? And then when we get to the point, then, slow it down. So you had last year, February 3rd, Christopher Lopez was shot and killed in San Luis, Costilla County on Alfonso Street. Josiah Medina, Thomas Espinoza, Marcelo Gamboa were all arrested for the murder of Chris Lopez, and they were being held on $100,000 bonds. Danny Sanchez had told some newspaper that somebody had been shot on March 21st, 2022, but he didn't say who. So Christopher Lopez, why did he get shot and killed? What's the story about that? They said something about, there are some details to that story. And then the two murders that just happened. May 29th, 2022, David Delata, 38-year-old, shoots and kills Omega McCullough, 36 years of age. Omega had been living in Costilla County for 6 months. Delata's being held on a $150,000 bond. So it's kind of interesting how it's 150. Why were those other ones 100,000? But he's also accused of second-degree murder. So they've already kind of ruled out that it wasn't a deliberate thing. It wasn't that he had planned for it and, wrote up a bunch of this and that and draw pictures and whatever. He didn't, he didn't plan on it. Well, there's no pre-deliberation or whatever. So, in some respects, I don't know, what happened specifically in that case. And so if you assume the worst, is it possible that David Delata just shot and killed the McCullough guy just because of the different reasons why we have evil? Because he can't empathize, because he's a sadist to exploit the other person, to coerce the other person, to try to get, Omega to do his labor for him, to have some power, to have a tinge of power, to get a tinge of respect. The life has been beaten out of him. Was Delata's life, is he empty husk and he's miserable and dead on the inside, therefore he wants others to be miserable and dead on the inside too? Can he not think? Is it too hard to be a thinking human being and just easier just to be too hard to have love and patience? It's just awful. And was he too big? Was it too hard for him to, confront the guy and say, I'm going to, use my dukes? Because how many people now, I think that we have a continuum of force. In Colorado, we have the right to make a citizen's arrest. We have the right to make a citizen's arrest. And so if you witness a crime, then you can arrest somebody for committing a crime. But perhaps if there's several people and it's just you, and, the continuum of force, to make it easy, it's hands, weapons, guns. So for the police, the whole idea is that the police don't just come on the scene and start shooting people. They got some sort of sense. The police show up, and actually just their presence, is the first step. And then ordering, hey, stop what you're doing. Drop your gun, right? Just giving orders. Just shouting a bunch of orders. So the presence of the police officer shouting orders. But hands, weapons, gun. Hands, weapons, gun. And so instead of going straight to gun, you go with hands. And then if the other person brandishes a weapon, then maybe you have to brandish a weapon. And so there's an escalating, a continuum of force there. You came on the scene. Your presence didn't stop the commotion. Your ordering didn't stop the commotion. Now you're using your hands. Using your hands isn't stopping the commotion. Now you're using your weapons, your, pepper spray and your taser and your baton. If those don't work, then you got to go with, a firearm, with a pistol or rifle or shotgun, and possibly use lethal force. But the whole idea is that there's a continuum of force. You don't just pull out the gun and start shooting. You have hands, you have weapons, and then you have gun. So how many people, when they hear about these, terrible shootings, think, well, heck, maybe a lot of people defend cops like it's like they could do no wrong. But they could use a continuum of force, because if you don't like people shooting each other, they should have used a continuum of force. I mean, imagine if instead of David Delata shooting and killing Omega McAuliffe, instead of Rondell Brown shooting and killing Jesus, instead of Rondell Brown shooting and killing Jesus, maybe he could have used his hands. Maybe he could have used weapons. Maybe he could have fired a warning shot. Maybe fired a warning shot or two. All those would have prevented the other person from, the warning shot would have prevented anybody from being injured. Unless it was like real close to their eardrum or something. But it makes sense to have not just a common law, but also to have police that understand a continuum of force, and to have a consistent 10-step criminal procedure. So that's my list. Power, wealth. When people steal, they're literally taking your wealth, right? Stealing your blood, sweat, toil, and tears. Power, wealth, sadism. Why are people evil? When people killed Tecumseh, it was shocking to me. It's still shocking to me. I'm still fucking traumatized by that shit. And I don't know how the rest of you motherfuckers think that going around driving over people's puppies is like conducive to a good society. Because it's not. But why would people murder somebody else's puppy? Sadism. They like to hurt others, to exploit you, to steal from you. Power by terrorism. Even if they're dead on the inside, they don't know how to think. They don't know how to be a human being. They have no virtues, love, patience, democracy. It's too hard to talk to people, communicate with people. It's too hard to persuade others. So it's just easier to be awful and violent than empathetic and understanding. So there's plenty of reasons. People will rationalize, shit after the fact, which is stupid and bullshit. I think sometimes EMS and the fire department and the police department, because they're professionals and they're careerists and they're there forever and they see it over and over again. I remember in Gallatin County in Kentucky when I was younger, there was an EMS guy that was just sitting there talking about these idiots. People make mistakes, they fall down or something, and they die, right, in their homes. And some people are getting old and feeble and whatnot, and even if you just fell off a ladder and died, hell, 9,000 times you went up that ladder and didn't die. So anyways, to say a person is an idiot, these idiots, it's like the EMS guy had to hate the people. So he had to dehumanize the people. And it's like these careerist motherfuckers, you got a good job, you got a career, so why don't you give a damn? Why don't you give a fuck about other people? That's your job, to give a fuck. And so, yeah, there's many reasons for evil. Don't be shocked by evil. Don't be too traumatized by evil. If you are traumatized by evil, that means you're a good person. So that's, a good thing for you. And if you're sitting there trying to talk to other people and nobody is giving a damn, maybe you're just surrounded by a bunch of evil, psychotic motherfuckers who don't have any virtues and don't, Yeah, before you diagnose yourself with low self-esteem, make sure you're not surrounded by a bunch of low-life, degenerate, psychopathic, asshole, criminal, unvirtuous piles of shit. So there you go. There's a little bit of an update, a little bit of a discussion of why are people evil. Growing up, I guess Christian. Growing up, people talking about the Bible and talking about Jesus, they give it's why I chose goodness. It's why I like the character of Jesus, and I've picked a whole array of good people to stand up and emulate. So, yeah, R.I.P. to Jesus Lozano, 51-year-old Jesus Lozano. You're innocent until proven guilty. Now that they've caught the guy, now he goes through the whole process or what have you, and then hopefully a jury, just with laser-like focus, pays attention to this case, and, they figure it out. And good job to the police. They found a guy, okay? They found somebody. They arrested somebody. Doesn't necessarily mean they caught the guy, but maybe they did.